Concerning our identities as Muslims, we have to go back to the first generations. Because if we judge things by now, Islam is spread far and wide and there's so much confusion. The Prophet ﷺ said, خَيْرُ الْقُرُونِ قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. He said the best generation is my generation, and then the one that followed them, and then the one that followed them. So when you look at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Muslims were called Muslimun, Mu'minun, Muhsinun, Ibadullah, Ibadur Rahman. This is what we originally were. And so that is what our identity is. So if somebody asks you what you are a Muslim. Inshallah, we try to be mu'min. We want to raise where we have iman, and then we make dua, Allah will help us to be muhsin. That we will have a state of ihsan. In terms of all the other names, these are names that came later on. The great Imams were teachers and students of each other. They only help us to understand the Quran and the Sunnah. That's all. But they did not come to be a label in front of Rasulullah ﷺ. They never came for this. And Imam Malik ibn Anas radiallahu anh, rahimahullah, was famous. He did not want his book Al-Muwatta to be the main book of Islam. He had the first hadith, authentic hadith. But he did not want only his book to be read. He did not want only his teaching. He said there are other Imams. So the Imams are students and teachers of each other. So your fiqh is only your understanding of Islam. It's only how to make tahara, how to make salat, how to make hajj. The Imam showed us how to make it. They did not label you. That's not a label. Some people think that if you're Hanafi, you're from India. If you're Shafi, you're Somali or you're Indonesian. If you're Maliki, you're in North Africa or West Africa. Right? If you're Hanbali, you're Saudi. Right? This is not what it is. You know, Abu Hanifa was not from India, man. Right? Imam al-Shafi was not a Somali. Right? He's from Gaza. He's not a Somali. He's not Indonesian. Right? Imam Malik was not from North Africa. You see, so these are names which we have made confusion on ourselves with the names of the Imams. We respect the Imams. You should follow the ways of the Imam. They show us how to take from Quran and Sunnah. But you know, your label is the label that is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are Muslim, Mu'min, you know, Abdullah, and the basic thing. Now, one of the things I want to say is that if we have everyday fiqh questions, you can save these for the local faqih. Also, if there are any problems in between Jamaats here in Melbourne, this is not my job, you know, to come in to be a judge in between people here. Okay? It says, can a woman, this is an everyday fiqh question, can a woman be allowed to correct the Imam if there's a mistake in the prayer wherever the men do not correct the Imam? Well, you know, I mean, it depends upon when women would not say subhanallah. They can make a sound, you know, in the back, a clap type of sound in the back, you know, to try to make the man, you know, hear, you know, something from the back. So it is permissible. But she may not be in the position where, you know, she's capable. But if she is in a position, then she could make a sound, but she would not be saying subhanallah, you know, to the Imam. Okay? You know, this question also is a little off the topic and said recently about Israel approved the decision to expand settlements around Al-Aqsa in an effort to demolish the mosque and to build what they call the Temple of Solomon. Could this be an indication that the appearance of Dajjal is about to come? Well, you know, this is a very deep question on another subject altogether. But definitely the great religions are all waiting for somebody to come. They're waiting for a Messiah to come, al-Masih, you know, and they are waiting for some evil force also to come. And there's different discussions about this, but we do know that, you know, that Dajjal is to appear, well, iyadhu billah, and make confusion all around the land. There's some discussions that say that Dajjal has appeared now. He's already here. This is a major mistake. And there's no proof in straight proof in our ahadith or from any of the Imams who would indicate something like this. What we could say is that the forerunners of Dajjal, the forerunners, those who will lead to the Dajjal, would actually be here. There was one person who wrote a book, Akbar Ali, I think his name was something else. He talked about the prophecies of the Quran, and he said that the Dajjal, his one eye is the television. And he's America-like. They said he's America, and Yajuj is America, and yet Ma'juj is Russia, and they try to apply everything today, but this is a mistake. Because if you say that the Dajjal, he's in, that he is America, and that his eye is the television, the Prophet ﷺ said Dajjal will not enter Mecca and Medina. But if you go to Mecca and Medina, you watch television. You get the videotape of the movies before you. It will come from Hollywood and it goes to Saudi Arabia. So if that's Dajjal, he's in Mecca and Medina. So that's not true. That is not true. We have to take these symbols literally. They are what they are. This is a man. This is a human being who will come. And the descriptions, you will get them in Alamat al-Sa'ah. You will see clear descriptions of how he looks and where he's coming from. And the fuqaha did not disagree with this. So we cannot say that he is in London or America or anything, and he flies, so he flies like American Airlines or Air Canada, that's his plane. This is stretching the things too far. And if we don't have proof for this, we should not enter in an area that we don't have proof for. Wallahu a'lam.
Question from the floor. Anyone has a question? Yes, sir.
What advice can you give Muslims might be here tonight that probably haven't been here since Eid?
That they haven't done what?
Haven't been to the masjid since Eid. People don't come. They're going to come.
Well, it is important for us, in these times to come to the masjid. The masjid is not an organizational building. This is the house of Allah. So when we come inside the masjid, we are coming in Allah's house. We are coming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this will help, this purifies us. This helps us to stay on Sirat al-Mustaqim. The sakina, the peace, the tranquility you will get in the masjid, you cannot get it anywhere else. So it's important for us to come in, our Islam has to be complete Islam. Right? We have to be Abdullah. Because we have a character we call Abdul Ramadan. Right? And we have another one we call Abdul Eid. He is the slave of Eid, not the slave of Allah. Okay? So we all want to be Abdullah, and that means we will come in, inshallah, whether it's Ramadan or not Ramadan. But this is a tendency, this is a weakness that is all over the world. It's not just here, it's all over the world. And we have to now practice Islam completely. And during, outside of Ramadan, in Ramadan, we have to continue to practice our Islam. This is what it is for. So it's very important for everybody to come in order to get peace inside of themselves. نعم.
معلش نتكلم بالعربي.
طيب.
بس
نعم.
الأخ حمزة إن شاء الله بيقول.
تفضل.
ما دام الأمر كذلك يا شيخ فما بالك بالذين يكفرون الناس على شربة ماء. يوزعون الكفر يعني على الناس هكذا بدون علم ولا بدون فمن هو صاحب هذا الأمر؟ من الذي يقول هذا كافر وهذا مسلم؟
Okay, the question is that what about people who are making takfir, that they are calling people non-Muslims just because they drink, water or, for any reason. They are saying people, who has the right to do this? Takfir is a very serious thing. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever is saying somebody is, kafir, doesn't have proof, he was a kafir. So it is not right to do this. This is something which is really, really serious. And it has to be handled by a proper mufti, a qadi, is the one who makes that decision, because in a Muslim state, it could lead to capital punishment. So this is serious, man. It's not something we play with. And even if you went to a judge, right, if the person did not make salat or whatever, the first thing you would say, is he kaslan? Is he lazy? Right? They would find excuses for the person. This is the last thing that we want to say to other people. Nobody should assume this authority, especially in these times, because it is a dangerous thing for any Muslim to be saying, well, iyadhu billah.
تفضل.
Okay, so this is a very good question, and this is what the fuqaha, I was just reading a discussion between the scholars about al-khawf wal-raja. Right, so there's different opinions on this. And really the best position would be a balance between the two. That you have al-khawf wal-raja. And the best level mu'min would be the one with his i'tidal. So you don't go too much with fear, and you don't go too much with hope. Because the problem is, if people do not fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they start to take things for granted. They say, well, inna Allah kareem. Allah kareem. Ma'alish. And they just do what they want to do. Because they don't think there's a punishment. You see? And this has crept into many communities. People think that because they come from a good family, or because they speak, Arabic or whatever, or Turkish or Urdu or whatever, they think they're saved. They think because they say, my name is Ahmed, that I'm saved. I will not have a punishment in the next life. Like we're chosen people. This is what happened to Bani Israel. That they thought that they were, Shabullah al-Mukhtar. That they're like some chosen people. Right? So it should be a balance. But this point that came up, that one scholar said, if you live in a time of kathratul ma'asiyah, kathratul ma'asi, there's a lot of sins, then this is where tarheeb. You need to have tarheeb. People need to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They need to know that there is a punishment. We cannot leave this. But I agree with you, that should not be the main talk. If a person is giving a talk, imam on the khutbah, whatever it is, he should make people fear Allah, but give them hope at the end. You have to have hope. And this is why I said, if you are awliya Allah, la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahsanun. We have iman and taqwa, nothing to fear. Don't be afraid. Nothing to be sad about. If you believe in Allah. But at the same time, people have to take Islam serious, man. When the time of salat comes, if it's going out, it is serious, man. If you're downtown and Asr is going out, find a place and make salat. So if the kuffar look at you and they look at you funny, so what? What are they going to do to you? Shoot you because you make salat? No. Make salat. Because this is a commandment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're disobeying Allah. So we have to look at these things very serious. But it's a very good point. It needs to be balanced. It does need to be balanced, and especially for young people. Islam should be positive. The Prophet ﷺ said to his companions, Bashiru wa la tunaffiru, yassiru wa la tu'assiru. Right? He said, Bashiru, make things, call good, give good news, glad tidings. Don't drive people away. Make Islam easy. Don't make it difficult. Make it easy, taysir. So there needs to be taysir. But we're living in a time where there's a lot of sins. And people need to know the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is real, man. It's real. It's not just a story. And if we realize that, then we will think twice before we do certain things. Right? When you're driving in your car, if the police is standing there with his gun, then everybody acts very good. They stop at the red light. They go at the green light because police is there, right? No police is there, he's driving his car through the red light. He doesn't care. Right? If you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knows what we are doing, and the angel is writing on us, then before we steal or we lie or we do that, we will think twice. You see? We will think twice what we do. And if we do something wrong, we will make tawbah immediately. Make tawbah if we do something wrong. So this is important for our community. Take Islam serious, man. Take it serious. Because you don't know how long it's going to last. There are people right now, just like we said, we were reading today about the people of the Afghan, right? Afghan people who are here in Australia in the middle of the country. Right? 100, 200 years ago. They were here. Right? And now, no trace. Some of the people, Charles Abdullah. Name is gone. We have people in Brazil, right? They were Muslims. And then, slavery came and they lost their deen. They hung on for a while and they lost, and they went to one community. And the only thing they had left of salat was that the man stands in the middle and he dances. The women clap their hands. And he makes that salat. They lost it, man. And they say different words which means Islamic words. They lost it. So we have to be serious. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the deen. We have to be thankful to Allah and be serious about the deen that we have now, because there are forces of evil around us. It's trying to take Islam out of us. They're spending billions of dollars to take Islam away from us, and especially our children. They don't want these children to be Muslim. They want the girls to take off their clothes and show their stomach and everything that they want. The boys to be little sissies and not sure they're male or female. This is what they want us to be. And they're serious about it, man. They're serious. So we have to be serious and hang on to the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal, but try to be positive at the same time. Now.
My question is regarding the interest, as I heard you saying about interest, like the one who pays interest and the one who pays interest and the one who writes interest are all the same. What about the brothers who just completed their degrees or who work in banks as accountants or in accounting firms or anywhere in the company, writing down all these balance sheets?
Well, this issue of riba, of interest, is a very serious one. And we were studying it in the 40 hadith of the Sab'a Mubiqat, that the Prophet ﷺ said, Ijtanibu as-Sab'a al-Mubiqat. And he went through Ash-Shirk Billah, As-Siha, wa Qatl al-Nafs allati harram Allahu illa bil-Haq, wa Akl al-Riba. Eating interest. This is a serious thing. Okay? And it is a problem that we have to face. We know that the Prophet ﷺ said the time would come when the dust of interest would touch everybody. So it has come. All of us are in it one way or another, indirectly or directly. So we have to make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try to come out of it. Try to come out. Try to have a credit union, interest-free credit union. Try to get banking, Islamic banking. Try to bring it into this country here now, Islamic banks. Try to do something. It's a problem all of us are facing. But we have to come out of this now. We cannot expect Allah to give us victory on the ground if we still have this. And so this is a very serious area, and that's where Tawbah comes in. Tawbah is self-analysis and reconstruction. So you analyze yourself, make your repentance, and then reconstruct. Right? And in Trinidad, the island of Trinidad, they started with an interest-free credit union, that you start putting your money together and you form a credit union with the interest-free credit union. And then you can lend money to people. Eventually they buy cars, they buy houses, they have scholarships to school. It can start with a credit union and people put their money together like this. And eventually it can move to the level of a bank. I remember when I was in Medina back in the 70s, I was a student in Medina, and I put my money in the bank, and they said after a couple months, I came back and I checked my money, and they said you have 200 riyals and you have 5 riyals fa'ida. They said a benefit. And I said, no, this is dara, this is harm, right? This is interest, man, in Medina. I said, what is this, man? And then I went out and they had the sarraf, they had Ar-Rajihi. So we went to Ar-Rajihi and we put our money with Ar-Rajihi. Now he has a bank. Now he has a bank, Jazahullah khairan. Ar-Rajihi. Now he has a bank, Jazahullah khairan. He started just money changer, and he took the money from the students, interest free, like that's how he started. Okay? And so you start small and then you can get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's expanding and growing in the Muslim world. I spent last year in Bahrain. I was in Dawlat al-Bahrain. And there in Bahrain, they have more Islamic banks than anywhere in the world. And when the economic recession hit the world, it did not hit them. They didn't want to say anything because they thought they would be attacked. But they did not have a problem, man, because they're not involved directly in the system. Now they're getting some fallout now. But when it came, they didn't have any problem. And it said, subhanAllah, look what Islamic banking can do. See? So we need to try to bring this into our lives. Start small. Help each other. Pool the money together. And then finance somebody. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And inshallah, we can come. But we need to make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try to make an effort to come out of it. Because everybody is involved. If you're working at the back, everybody's involved, man. I cannot change the hadith. That's what it is, man. You can't change it. Allahumma musta'an.
Two more questions. Yes.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam katu.
Just please, can you give us a short explanation for respecting the interests of the masjid, special like the men who's coming to sit without praying the two rak'ah, or special with the sisters, like they're not wearing hijab, or they come inside and they doesn't want to wear hijab, or they doesn't wear the hijab properly.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a good point about respecting the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are the guest of Allah when we come inside of His house. And we should make tahiyatul masjid, we should, you know, cover our awrah. That's not just women, but men should cover their awrah too. Because sometimes the brothers come inside and their pants are all showing in the back, they're tight, you know, and whatnot. They have to have satrul awrah for males too, not just females, right? So everybody should have satrul awrah when they come inside the masjid. In our masjid, in Cape Town, we have a thing, if she doesn't have a proper thing, we have a rack of abayas, which we will keep it clean. And also for the men, we have jubbas, some coats. It's like a light jubba, and you put a rack of it there. So if he's not covered, and he has his Superman, Batman shirt, right, and his pants are all tight in the back, then put the jubba on, man. At least when you're in the house of Allah. Or get a salat top or something like this, and put on the salat top for the males as well as the females when they are in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You said, brother, you mentioned salah is important. You said to pray anywhere. I mentioned to my students, if you go to the mall for shopping and they have nowhere to pray, I took them to go to a cloth shop and get a shirt. For example, go to the change room and pray. Yes, we need to use our sense, our hikmah. And if you try, you can find a place to make salat. If you can't make salat in front of everybody else, then you can find a section of the mall. As we travel, bring a sajada with you in your bag. Have a prayer mat. Okay, in Isna they have nice prayer mats that they have. You open the thing up and do. So then bring your prayer mat, and you can find a section of the mall where there's not a lot of people. And then you can, you know, get your qibla, you know, make your wudu, and then you can make your salat. And so what if somebody sees you? So what? One brother, this brother, fear Allah, he was downtown New York City, in Manhattan. And there's all these people, the salat, Asr was going out, he put his rug down, Allahu Akbar. And he made the salat. All the people looked at him and they said, shh. And they just kept walking. He made his salat, man. Because he doesn't even see the people. He's only just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? He didn't even see the people. Right? And this is this is the level of ihsan. Right? An ta'budullaha ka'annaka tarahu. فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. That you will worship Allah as though you see Him, and if you can't do that, as though He sees you. This brother, he was only seeing Allah. He didn't see the crowd, and he just made his salat. But we are not like this. We're weaker, so we can find a place in the mall, on the side or whatever, and we can put our sajada down, and then we can make our salat. Eventually, if you have a big mall, what the Muslims did in Cape Town, they went to the mall, especially where a lot of Muslims are, and they went to the administration of the mall and they said, we want a musalla in the mall. So the man said, okay, if you have a prayer area, it'll make a lot of business. So they made a masjid in the mall. Because there's enough Muslims there spending their money every day. Just get a little room and we'll take care of the room. We even pay you for the room. Right? And then the business people who are working in the mall, they put their money together and they got the room, made a little salat area, a little wudu area. So when the time comes, if you're in the mall, you can go to the little musalla and you can make salat. So you can do this, man. The community unites together and they pool their strength. So I want to thank you for your questions. I pray that Allah would bless this school and the masjid and keep us all together in a state of Islam. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat. Wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.